Right, guys, welcome back. This is episode 6 of Talk Up, and I'm really excited today to be here with James, obviously. Unfortunately, Jay can't make it. Man's got COVID. Managed to survive the entire pandemic, but in March 2024, he gets hit with COVID, so he can't make it up. But we're here today at 360. So, guys, thank you very much for putting us up. As some of you might be aware, I don't have access to the old studio anymore, but we will touch on that a little bit later. So yeah, the guys at 360, for those who don't know, anything you need for sort of large format print, exhibitions, store fit outs, everything else like that, they're your creative marketing geniuses. They used to do all of our exhibition stands at Verso and Premspec, and they do have small clients like EE, Jaguar, Apple, people like that. So if you're a small little company or a large massive conglomerate, you're looking for an exhibition stand, large format print, anything like that, get hold of the guys at 360 down here in Cardiff. So, James, mate, it's been a little minute.
It has been a while.
I know I've been busy. What's going on with you?
Same old stuff.
Same old stuff.
Yeah, nothing's changing around my end. Everything's changing your end. So, yeah.
Well, we were catching up earlier, and you were mentioning a friend of yours had a bit of a rough time of it.
Yeah, so it's like a topic we'll first talk about is the scams that people need to be aware of, and now. Recently, a friend's been telling me a scam that's going around, and I put on my story on Instagram. The NIC have put it out, so it must be quite a big scam. Yeah. But it's all to do with EICRs in your area.
Right.
And so this company, they must be, from what I've been told, they're well set up, like website, phone numbers, emails, everything you can think of is in place. And what they do, they basically contact you.
So it looks like a genuine company then?
Oh, yeah. From what they say, yeah, genuine. Like, and then they contact you and say, do you want to put in for going for a year's worth of EICRs? I think you have to do like 30 a month or something like that. They mentioned.
Right.
And then from that is you go through like interviews. The person said he had to do interviews, so I think it was like 3 interviews he may have done. Right.
So you interview with this company.
Yeah. So you speak to these people on the phone, and I'm guessing emails, and I don't know if it was video or whatever, but you speak to them, then you tell them everything about your company, about what you do, anything you can think of. Question like
I get a proper formal job interview.
Yeah, like from step by step. Is anything you think of? Apparently, it's like just that's what they do, right? To get you enticed, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So then, what they say, you pay a deposit. They'll ring you back on the last interview, I think, and then you pay a deposit to say you're definitely going to do it, and you've been accepted, right. And then.
So hang on. So you go through the interview processes.
Yeah.
They grill you on your practices,
sign contracts, written contracts.
Right, okay. And then once you pass, quote unquote, you get through the quality procedure.
Yeah.
You then have to pay a deposit.
Yeah. Which was, I think he said, $2,500, around that figure.
And then that's supposed to give you what?
All the addresses, I'm guessing phone numbers of all the tenants. Because he mentioned you go to estate agents, you have the estate agents' numbers and stuff.
Right. And are these genuine estate agents?
Well, I'm guessing not now.
Right, yeah. But so hang on. So you're basically paying then for a lead list. Is that essentially what it is? So
no, because the EICRs were supposed to be there. They're ready to go. They're ready to start.
Right. So they're masquerading as a company that has an order book of EICRs, and they're looking for people, electricians, to carry out these EICRs on their behalf.
Like 30 a month for a year.
Right.
So for one-man bands...
That's 360 EICRs.
That's happy days.
That's a lot of money.
So if they got 2 done a day, which is another conversation, but if they got 2 done a day... So I think he said the pricing wasn't actually that good, or what they was going to pay you.
Right.
So he said he tried to negotiate them to get more money. But they actually said no. So even though it was a scam...
They make you work for it.
They make you work... It's like that real. They made you work for the money, if that makes sense,
mate.
So even like.
So at what point do you separate with money then?
Right at the end. So when all the contract, you had to do. I think you said you had to do a water test. Is that what's it called now? It's Legionnaire.
Oh yeah.
You had to do that. You had to do a course, online course. They send you the course. You do that.
They have an.
Yeah. So then I'm guessing when all that's done, I think it was right at the end. They're supposed to send you the list of all the customers, I'm guessing, and you don't hear off them after you pay the deposit.
That's it. So they go, right, yep, okay.
So I think you said this over like a 3-week period. Interviews, emails, courses, everything. You send the money and you don't hear off them again.
Mate, that is mad.
So yeah, it's just got to be careful. Like, but then he said he went onto the website afterwards. And you know, every website has like an about section.
Yeah.
You go down, you got the team members, and if you look at the pictures, take like attention to them, you can see they're AI generated.
Oh wow.
But you wouldn't pick that up if you didn't.
But I wonder how much that is AI generated, like the courses and everything else. Because from some of the stuff I've seen, you could easily go into AI and say, generate me a course on EICRs.
Yeah.
You can ask it anything.
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah.
And as long as the questions are,
but
you know,
what you've seen as well is he was asking questions, electrical questions.
Well, that was my next question. Surely whoever's behind that has to be electrically disciplined to be able to ask the right questions at enough volume, to enough detail to make someone think that's real.
He was asking about like certain limitations, certain coding, certain blah 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 whatever.
What, as part of the interview process?
Yeah, before even signing the contract, and they apparently had the answers to everything. Answers to everything. So I said they have to be doing that job beforehand.
Yeah, or be involved with someone that does. I mean, are there genuine companies out there that do this?
Yeah.
Well, then, yeah. So someone's either worked at a company like that or for a company like that and copied and pasted, didn't they?
That's what I reckon.
Mate, that's mad. And $2,500 is like.
Yeah. So you think of one-man bands? That could kill some one-man bands.
Yeah.
Thinking they got a year's worth of work.
Yeah.
And then
separate with $2,500 like that. In a climate like it's like at the minute, because domestically especially, it's really difficult out there at the moment. I know you wouldn't know that because you're commercially, but domestically out there it's really, really quiet. But that is, that can bring us on a whole new topic that we didn't think about today, is if a lot of that is AI generated in a world that's going more that way. Wow. I mean, I still get the emails of such and such has logged in, and if you don't reset, click this link to reset your password, and you can quite clearly see this isn't real.
99% of the time anyone can notice a scam, but I think to that detail of what it was, I would love to know how many people have fallen for that, and for the NIC to put it out as well. It must have got to be.
Yeah, that's got to be reported quite a lot.
Yeah. Do you think all they've got to do is get, say, 50 companies? Think how much money that is?
Yeah, but do you know what I've never understood about stuff like that? Right, so if I sent someone $2,500 or even 250 quid, it makes no difference. I've got to send it somewhere, right? So that has to go to a bank account. That bank account has to be registered somewhere.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
and that's the point. Surely it's somewhere down the line, especially if it's that much money and that many people, legally there's a way that they can track and trace and pull that back through.
Well, you would assume so, wouldn't you? But I don't know. But yeah, it's just mental. So you've got to be careful out there.
I mean, does your insurance cover stuff like that?
Don't know. it's mental. I think another thing what he mentioned as well, like when he originally had the text, he like signed up to some sort of platform where you get work.
Yeah.
And like a couple of days later, he had a text from the company, and it wasn't just a number; it was the company name.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, I get them sometimes when it pops up in like NatWest, for example.
Yeah. So you said that popped up, so you thought obviously straight away you think it's legit. It's not just like someone ringing you. But yeah,
mate, that's mental.
So yeah, you've got to be careful. If you are listening to this and you're going through the same thing, stop.
yeah, and vet whoever's trying to sell you EICRs.
Yeah, but just look into everything.
Yeah, that's mad. That is mad. Like you say, I mean, you only need 20, 30, 40 people, and that's a king's ransom.
And then shut everything down.
Shut it down and start it again.
Yeah,
mate, that's mental. That's mental. I mean, guys, again, if you're not NIC, speak to NAPIT, speak to whoever your governing body are, see if they know about it. The scary thing is if there's one of those out there, like you say, once they shut it down, or they could quite easily copy and paste that and make multiple of those. And that's the other thing. Like, I suppose those tests and even the response, they could all be bots now.
Yeah.
They might not even be like. Yeah. That's insane.
You just never know. So careful where you put your numbers as well, I suppose. Numbers, emails.
Yeah. But there you go though. So if an electrician doesn't advertise their contact details, how are you going to get hold of them?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Oh, guys, I mean, there's a rabbit hole we can go down there. Have any of you guys been affected by any scams or anything else like that that you think the wider electrical community needs to know about? I mean, we started with tool theft on the last episode, but this is straight up money theft out your bank, and they're getting you to do it for them. Yeah, guys, report anything. Let everyone know. I mean, that's where social media is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone, I've seen the other side of it in the last couple of weeks, but as soon as someone says something, 1,000 people hear it, whether it's true or not. But with this sort of stuff, spread the word, let people know as soon as you can. I remember once I had, it's not too long ago actually, I had, because at Premspec we banked with a company called HSBC, like people don't know that.
Just a small company.
It's just a little one, isn't it? A little company out of Hong Kong. But, and their emails used to come through with these weird email addresses to the point where I used to have to forward it onto my bank manager and ask, is this genuine? And 99% of the time it was. But they're so weird that my inbox will flag it as spam anyway. Oh. It's just because that all gets automated through a system, which is not. But yeah, so sometimes genuine emails look less genuine than the fake ones. But the only time I've ever had an issue like that, it was about 12 years ago. I had my car broken into, and in my wisdom, I'd left my wallet in the car. Yeah, brilliant, right? So it's down the bay it was, and they nicked my wallet. And they tried my card at Adamsdown. So I didn't. Yeah, okay. Some reprobates have nicked it. Cool, is what it is. Well, about 4 or 5 months later, I get a letter from Barclays saying you're overdue on your loan. Da 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 da. I never banked with Barclays a day in my life.
Oh.
I was like, so I called Barclays and it's got all my details on it and everything else. They're going through security, and I can't pass it. I was like, what? Look, I don't know what this is. I've got no idea. And then they started asking me some questions that didn't make any sense. And like, do you think you could have been a victim of fraud? I was like, well, I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah.
And then they said, do you recognise this account number? Which I didn't. And it was a debit account number with Lloyds, who I've also never banked with.
Mad.
And I was like, they're like, look, we've got to put you on this register, blah, blah, blah. You need to contact Lloyds, call this number. So I called the number, and they've set up a debit account. And off that debit account, right, which is just a standard current account, right, they've taken out a Sainsbury's loan. They've taken out 3 credit cards. And what they've done, they've spent it all on the high street in Glasgow. And the only reason I could prove it wasn't me is because on the same dates, my NatWest card had been used in Cardiff. So I can't be in Glasgow and in Cardiff. And then I couldn't get a credit card for years. I couldn't get any, like, it was mental. So, and it took 6 months. They'd racked up 38 grand worth of debt in my name.
Days.
And it's because my license was in my wallet, which had my address on it, my date of birth, and my full name.
That's mad. They literally get anything.
And that's all you need to open up a bank account. And they didn't, because I had a good credit rating and whatever, and they didn't question it. So these guys just had you should see they sent me copies of statements. Zara, Foot Locker, all the places I wish I could afford to bloody shop all the time. They've just gone, emptied.
Yeah, so there has to be a way of like tracing it.
Yeah, so you need a current account to set up it's got to link to a credit account. So that's how they've done it, because all my details, my name, my address, my date of birth, all of that was on my license. And that's all you need to open a current account. And because I'd, already had accounts and, it was all correct details, they didn't even ask a question. So they just opened the accounts. And that was 12 years ago. It took 4 years before I could get a credit card.
Mental.
Every time I applied for anything with a loan or any sort of credit, there was this little mark against me, which had nothing to do with me. But yeah, over 30 grand's worth of debt. But at least that wasn't I hadn't separated with my money.
Yeah.
It was the bank's money, do you know what I mean? They lent it to someone. And I could prove that it wasn't me. But the way that was so deep, because I didn't get a single letter. Right, from the only one I got was that Barclays letter. Turns out they'd send letters. Lloyds had sent letters. Sainsbury's, all these guys, they were doing. So we had it was a block of flats, and there was a set of letterboxes out the front. Well, they were just intercepting the post.
No way.
So I just thought, dickheads have nicked my bloody wallet, and that's the end of that. Do you know what I mean? And turns out they obviously sold that to someone who's a bit savvy or whatever, but they must have been local, because they were waiting by my postbox.
That's mental.
Absolutely insane, isn't it? So
I know where my girlfriend lives. She lives in a flat.
Yeah.
With his letters go in. She said all stuff always gets stole.
Yeah.
She said she bought me a card before and it got stolen because people think there's money in it.
Or did
whatever.
she?
Yeah.
Did you forget?
Yeah.
No, but it's true. Cards go missing all the time because birthday cards. People always think it's money.
Yeah.
So my gran, she used to send a birthday card in like something else to make it because she was so scared people can. So just send a check. They can't nick that. And then she used to shout at me for not cashing a check because it messed up her little books. But yeah, so scams, guys, they are out there. They're not just spam email guys. They are getting more sophisticated, and I certainly couldn't afford $2,500. And if one's person $2,500, someone could be $4,500. If I suppose they probably pitch that figure in based on all the information you've given them and how much they think you can afford.
Yeah, true.
But to actually make you work for it.
It's just mental, isn't it?
but that's the genius of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the absolute genius of it.
It's got to be. It's so well thought out. Has to be.
Yeah, guys, like I say, if there is anyone who's experienced anything like that at the moment, or even catching wind of it, report it straight away, but share it with the wider community because you could save someone else from going through some real hardship and pain. Which, like I say, when it's really difficult out there at the moment, it could be the difference between someone paying their mortgage and feeding their kids and not really. So
definitely.
Yeah, so great story. Well, not for your mate, but guys, before we get into the next part of the podcast, okay, I want to say a huge thank you to the guys at Eicr for continuing to sponsor the Talk Up podcast. And on top of that, they have actually given us a giveaway. I'll lead it over to my assistant over here to...
So this is what we all call a tester pen. And we all have one in our toolbox, and we know what they should be used for and what they shouldn't be used for. But
And I want you to say the German name that it says on the top there, or give it a go. What's it called? What does Eicr call it in German?
Spanngrufer.
There you go. so for any of you guys out there who are bilingual, you know what it called in German. So guys, this is a giveaway from Eicr. So what we will be doing, we'll be putting a post up with what question do we ask this month for this giveaway?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Right. Well, as we continue through the podcast, as so regularly happens, something will come up, and that will be the question for the giveaway for the Volt Pen. So you'll have to keep listening because we don't know what it is yet. Right, guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of the Talk Up podcast, episode 6, and our next topic is, and I got to be honest, this was a request when I put it out on social and said, look, what do you want us to talk about? There was one obvious question everyone kept asking me. But the other one was, what do I think about Hager's AFDD video? And as I am currently out of the industry, I'm glad it's someone else's problem. Have you watched it?
Yeah, I've been keeping up with the David Savery vids, and then
love your Savo.
I've watched the Hager response.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not saying much, but we'll talk about it now. But I haven't said anything on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
Where'd you start?
Well, I tell you why I'm really interested in your opinion
rather
than my own. One, I know my own, but why I think our listeners and our viewers will be more interested in your opinion is because you are who that video is supposed to be directed at you to give you confidence in their product.
We should probably explain for people who don't know about the situation what this situation is.
That's a good point. Now, I will put the link to Davo's videos and the Hager's response video because I don't think we can get it twisted. It is a direct response to Dave Savery's videos. 100%. Or if not to the videos, possibly the feedback that they've been receiving thanks to his videos.
Yeah.
The reason I know that is because I actually donated an AFDD to the Dave Savery Foundation for testing. So
should we explain the...
Yeah, let's do it. So for those who aren't aware yet, Dave has become the connoisseur of AFDDs and has taken issue with the lack of response from the Hager AFDD when put through the Savo test.
I can't remember where it actually started from, or his first video on it. Was he just trying it? I can't actually remember that. But
I think if I remember rightly, he installed one, and his main issue at the time had nothing to do with the actual performance of the AFDD. It was all to do with the Bluetooth thing. Yeah. And he had a real pain in the arse setting it up.
Yeah, because you had to update the software. And
yeah,
stuff
and
like
I think he installed it, and then he couldn't get the thing to work or talk, and then because he had an issue, that was it. Because didn't he go on their website and download stuff and then start like pointing out the fact they had spelling mistakes and all that. And then he went in.
Rubbing his hands together.
So that was before it even made it anywhere near his arc chamber.
Yeah,
that's what his arc chamber, right? So I think that's where it started, because it's like 3 or 4 volumes to the Dave Savery AFDD Academy. Yeah. So I think that's where it started. Which was your favourite? I can say favourite. Which of Dave's videos in regards to AFDDs, let's not single out Hager just yet, in regards to AFDDs, was most impactful to you? Because there's only one that comes to my head.
I wouldn't say impactful, it just cracked me up when you're seeing all these other ones trip. And then it comes to the Hager and it's just not budging. And you can see that his arc chamber, it's like up in flames.
Mate, it's on fire. You have to actually there's one point where he's flicking the power like,
yeah, you can see he's getting tamping with it.
He has to cut the video because
his Lego melted.
I fear that his back cave is going to burn down. So, but yeah, I mean,
but yeah, that's essentially what it is. Is the AFDD is not tripping when all other brands are tripping. Yeah. And he's created his own little arc chamber. When he turns a dial, it creates an arc.
He's got 2 arc chambers, right, isn't he? He's got the one which looks like a torpedo, and then he had the one on the wall.
Yeah.
Now the one, and he also did some stuff where I think he put some water on a conductor and everything,
so
and that literally caused a fire.
He made a parallel arc and a series arc.
Yeah, and which, to be fair, when I went on the electricians pod and they asked me about it, what my thoughts were. And I said then, very gingerly, the one way he's putting water on a cable, I didn't think that was a genuine test, to be fair. I think that's more of a short circuit than an arc, okay? But the arc chamber, the one on the wall, where he's using 2 basically contacts, and it's just creating a fire. I had no idea why that didn't trip. And I remember saying on that pod, I'm glad it's not one of mine, because I couldn't explain it, which I felt for Hager in that moment, because if you can't explain the problem or choose not to explain the problem, that's a big problem. So I think after that, and I think a lot of people felt the same way, like, hang on, this is how I understand an arc to operate.
Yeah.
Your device isn't operating. And then when Dave did on his last video that I seen, where I thought he blew it out the water, was when he had ours, fuse box, the Schneider one, the Wilex one, and the old Hager one.
Yeah.
So the Hager double module one, when he had that on there, that's when I was just like, oh, okay. And then I thought, well, okay, he may or may not have a point. And I could, because again, you'd think they'd have the same tripping characteristics, right? So, and from what I understand, they got a lot of grief at Elex. Now, guys, one thing I would say, right, is if you are approaching an employee of any company, I've always felt it's a bit different on our stands, right? I am Mr. Verso, right? I designed it, everything else. I was involved heavily in everything. If I can't answer the question, okay, I've got a guy at the factory who can, and I expect that, like, if you want to scrutinize my product and things like that, then fine, you can come at me. But if you were to come at my staff, and I think they got a lot of grief on the stand.
This is why I've been thinking. It's like people on the stands, they don't know the product ins and out. They're just doing their job. Yeah. They haven't designed the product. So I get all of that. It's like everyone's gonna not take blame for anything. It's much higher up somewhere. Yeah. Where the issue is. They're just doing their job. They don't want to be harassed.
Exactly.
On the stand. So I get that as well.
And I think because of all that, Hager then took the decision to address it, which is what this video is. Right, so guys, I think that's a fair assessment of the background of the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. So now we're back at the beginning. What did you think of their response? Did it satisfy you as an electrician? Would you, after seeing their response, okay, let's not get into the quality of the video and anything else. Let's just, as a response from a company that do 4.6 billion euros annually, or globally, should I say, Did that satisfy you? Because they hold themselves in high esteem, and they've earned that, okay, over the years, as one of the market leaders. Would you now fit a Hager AFDD?
the answer to that is no, but hear me out. I've always been under the impression, but this just might be me being naive, I don't know. If it sees an arc, it trips. Not flames, like. If it sees an arc, it should trip. But an arc fault detection device.
Yeah, mate, I'm with you.
That's my point to it. So it's like, if I'm going to fit a AFDD in someone's house, I just want to go with something I know is going to trip with an arc as well. Not when the house is already on fire, kind of.
So this is what I learned. And honestly, I learned something from that Hager video that I didn't know. Right? I wasn't aware that there were 2 testing types that you can do to pass that BSEN standard. Now, I knew which one we used, which was the arc chamber, which unsurprisingly, when Dave recreated one, then tripped. The answer that Hager give, and like I say, guys, watch the video.
Yeah.
The answer that they give is they use a different type of test, which they're allowed to do under the regs, okay? Which, again, I've had a very busy month. I haven't had a chance to find out what the parameters of that are. And that is they used a carbonized cable, which basically means, if you watch the video, you'll see, as they run a current through that cable, it creates a flame. Now, their chief engineer, whatever he was, explained that this is the critical failure point of, the situation. Is that about right?
Yeah, but the cable's basically on fire now.
The cable was on fire.
Yeah, the cable is on fire, so it's like hard to. I know what they're saying. If it still complies, it complies. I get that. So is it essentially?
But the cable's on fire.
But the cable's on fire. Yeah, that's my point to it.
That was the bit that I could understand where they were going, but every time they showed it, the cable's on fire.
So if we look at it now, say if a building did burn down because it still managed to catch fire, even though it did trip, but something's already caught onto it. We're only installing these to stop that happening.
They're preventative, like they're protection devices. They're not after the fact devices. That was the bit that blew my head. When I looked at it, I thought, okay, so there's 2 types of tests. You've chosen to go with the one where at critical mass, we guarantee that it works.
So, we spoke off camera. It's to do with the cable that doesn't, was it melt or arc or catch fire, you said?
Yeah.
Well, it does catch fire with that one. So the LSF cable, the low smoke cable that doesn't catch fire, it won't work on at all then? Because that's only going to create an arc.
I think actually, and we'll delve into some of the comments on the video, right? And I'm sure if any of you watch this and listen to this and that haven't seen it yet, we'll add your own comments. But I think someone brought up LSF in one of the comments as I was scrolling through earlier, which is a great point, and I hadn't thought about it until then. And then again, obviously, until you mentioned it there. That's a great point. But I think what they try to do, and again, I've been in a situation where you don't want to lose. No one wants to lose confidence in their product, right? So I understand the reaction. I just don't think it hit the way they were hoping it would, because throughout the video you see cable on fire.
Yeah.
Right, and like you pointed out, everyone else is tripped when you see in an arc. Now, if there's an arc, I would expect that product to trip, because as a preventative measure, if you see an arc, you would expect the arc fault detection device to detect it and therefore keep that circuit safe.
So obviously arcs create fires. So
you want to stop. Create heat. So a small arc will create up to 6,000 centigrade worth of heat.
That's insane.
Now you put that in a timber frame, plasterboard wall.
Yeah.
Tripping like that at 6,000 centigrade. But don't worry, when it catches fire, we'll cut the power.
But in this sense, though, if it passes all their tests and it complies with the regulations, he can just wipe their hands of it and be like...
Well, that's what they've done. And from what I understand, at the Electricians show, they turned around and said, if you don't like it, don't fit it.
So they're doing nothing wrong in the sense of...
But I get that. And I didn't understand that there was this other test, like I say. And that's what they're essentially saying. Look, it complies. If you don't want to fit it, we completely appreciate that. But, we stand by our product. Okay. But as an electrician, as you pointed out, I can see 4 or 5 other manufacturers that behave as I expect them to. I was just really shocked at that response.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
I picked out a...
you got comments?
I got picked out, yeah, I mean, there's loads, right? There's 2,500 people have watched this video. About 4.5 million have talked about it. And there's this one here, 3 days ago. Oh, someone keeps trying to call me. Apologies. From dead.format, okay, on YouTube, who starts out with, this video shows that it meets all standards and lab testing, which it does.
Is fair.
Yeah. But I'm just not sold. Forget all the mathematics, lab tests and regulations. Stripping it back to basics, I saw real life arcs and didn't see it activate.
Which is what we're kind of saying, yeah.
Which he's talking about Dave's video, don't he? Something needs addressing with them to reassure folks, which I think is what they tried to do by explaining their method of testing. I just don't think their method of testing reassured anyone.
No, because I saw a flame.
That's
why I just keep going back to it. It may sound stupid, and I'm not looking into it too much, but I saw a flame.
But the worst part is, right, I correlate the flame I saw in their video to the flame I saw in Dave's video and think, okay, so this has to catch fire before it works. And the other thing I didn't understand in Dave's video is when it caught fire.
It still
didn't work.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, and again, Hager, I'm not disagreeing with your test for the life of me. I don't understand enough about it, but I think you really need to have. I think you need to go back to the drawing board in the way you're addressing this to people to regain confidence.
As you as a manufacturer, how do you go about this now? They've probably invested millions into this.
Oh, and the rest. Yeah.
So much money. Like, who's going to take the call to say, yeah, we're going to change it, or they're just going to keep it the same and just keep quiet about it? Like, what would you do in this situation? So I wouldn't have a clue what I'd do if I was Hager. Because you've got to think the social media side of things, people who've seen David Savery, is a very small amount to
it
who's
might
actually
well be
fit
a
in
small
Hager.
amount, but and again, I can attest to this after what's happened to me over the last couple of weeks. You don't have to have seen that video to heard about that video. And here's the danger for a wholesaler. Okay, you who are on social media savvy, see something, read something, hears about it, someone reposts something, whatever. You can, with or without context, take that information into your wholesaler.
I have done.
There you go.
Yeah.
Your wholesaler now, hey, you got a problem with their AFDDs, don't work.
Stop selling them.
Yeah, they'll stop selling them because the last thing a wholesaler wants is ag. And manufacturers don't make it easy to send stuff back. Right? Okay. Especially when they think that product isn't faulty.
Yeah.
So like we used to do it, right? So if you send something back to us, because we individually tested the products, okay? So if you send that back and it's genuinely faulty, we hold our hands up, which is like 1 in a million. But if you send it back and it works perfectly fine, first time, we tell the wholesaler, right, you got a warning, don't do it again. Second time, we charge them for the testing, which is 45 quid.
Oh.
So they're like, well, okay. And so
they just want to try and step away if they can.
Again, you're not going to put that product forward if you think it's going to cause you a headache.
But I know in tenders, I've looked at some tenders and they specify in some of them Hager.
Oh, a lot of them do. Yeah, especially domestically. A lot of them do. A bit like Hager, I would say, are where Wilex were 10 years ago, when where Schneider probably is in commercial.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That some people haven't got a choice now, but
no,
to fit them.
But again, okay, it doesn't take a lot for the DLO team of a housing association or a subcontractor to a housing association to turn around and say, hey, I'm not fitting that. Have you seen this video?
True.
And you see flames. And then you go to Hager's response video and you see flames. And you're thinking, I've got a housing stock of 5,000-6,000 of social housing. The last thing I want to see is flames. And again, it's headaches, right? And it doesn't take a lot for that to spiral out of control. So they had to respond. I just think maybe it didn't achieve what they were hoping it would.
Like you were just saying as well about like the social media is a very small majority, but you're saying that word of mouth can go around quite quick.
Yeah, I mean, Christ, this is the first public speaking I have done since the 22nd of February, which is a day that I will remember forever. Right? And the stuff I've heard about myself in the past 2, 3, 4 weeks, perpetuated by other people, which is just, again, and that's based on nothing. Again, no one said anything. I haven't said anything. No one else said anything. Just on someone's opinion because they put 2 and 2 together and come out with fish. You see a YouTube video where other devices are tripping under the parameters you expect them to, and then you see one that kind of, again, I feel for Hager, I do. And you ask the question, like, what would I do in this situation? Because you've invested all this money and everything else. Yes, they can lean on their name, on their reputation. They can lean on the fact they've got specification, and that will pull them through. But I also know commercially, in the back end of it, they've had to react for wholesalers, which has kind of encouraged wholesalers that previously couldn't access a product to those sort of price points to spend that money with them. But it's also aggrieved the wholesalers that were big stockists before. And so they have tried to respond from that side of the market, I suppose from the one I come from. But it won't help if your side of the market ain't buying it.
Yeah. But again, that's what I'm just saying though, but it's only a small majority that knows about it because of social media. You think the amount of people that fit in Hager?
Right. We're going to get into this bit when we go into my bit in a minute. But I can guarantee you, do you know what other manufacturers are doing with that information? So, if let's say, for example, a rep for another circuit protection factory or company, so
they use that,
mate.
Right, okay.
So
eventually it'll go round either way or not.
And they wouldn't even have to seen the video. They just know someone who knows someone who knows someone who's seen the video. And that's what I'm saying. It's like 2,500 people, 4,500, 10,000 people, whatever, might have seen Dave's video, but
so many more.
Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, I agree.
And the ones who are going to be most dangerous with that information are the ones that are competing next to Hager. Which is why I made a point of not mentioning it when I was pitching our product, because I've said this before. Hager's always been a company I've respected, and I always kind of tried to model us around for a long time. Not so much over the last couple of years, but I just, again, I do feel for them. I do feel for the staff that are getting the abuse for it. What would I do? I understand the Bluetooth thing. After watching their video, I had a completely different understanding of what it was for before watching that video. But because basically what they're saying is they want to increase these things cost 100 quid a pop, right? So they're trying to increase the longevity of an AFDD because things will change. Look how much circuits and housing and things like that's changed over the last 10 years. Over the next 10, 15 years, they anticipate that changing much more. And they want their device to be able to cater for that. Cool. Fine. So you've got potentially the bones of that there, if that's how that firmware operates. So you keep that. But you have to go on some serious PR repair situation, and I don't know. They're not social media savvy. Their marketing is very direct to. It's not consumer or contracted based. It's very wholesaler based. And I don't know. Is the honest answer how I would deal with it. I'm really grateful that I don't have to. I'll be honest. So guys, have a look at the video, see what you think, and maybe actually, rather than vilify Hager or try and destroy another company, maybe suggest some things that they could do that would help pacify public opinion, because I do think there's some good stuff there, and it must work. That's my thing. I'm still putting faith in a company that big, that the testing is detailed enough that the bloody thing must work.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying, but if I'm going to a shop now and I'm picking between two boards and I need to fit AFDDs, I'm definitely going to go with the other one at the moment.
Well, again, what would I do? Okay, it passes a particular test. I would recalibrate it so it passes the other one. That's a good point. And then, because you're already balls deep in it anyway, fix the problem to the point where your customers are comfortable with it, and then get on with it.
And with the whole Bluetooth thing, if they're adamant the longevity of it, well, they should be able to update it to pass that test, shouldn't they?
Ooh, there you go. I can't summarise that any better.
Right, so welcome back to the part 3 of the Talk Up podcast, and we're now on to what you've all been waiting for, and I think you should let us know what is going on, because I don't really know myself. So go away.
Well, it depends on who you listen to, right? So first of all, right, there's a few things I want to say. One, thank you to everyone who reached out. I didn't know I was that popular. No, all jokes aside, from customers to people I haven't spoken to in years, to competitors, believe it or not, reaching out, asking, making sure I'm okay, wishing me all the best, loads of that. So first of all, I really, really appreciate that, because it has been a really difficult time for me and the family. So thank you very much. Before I address the other bit, I may as well tell you what happened.
Let's start from there.
So,
where is this all come about? So you've done you've done a LinkedIn post, and
yeah. So I quit my job. Something that people do every day of the week, which, depending on who you listen to, I'm not allowed to do. But so basically, what happened is people who have only known me in the past 3-4 years because of Verso, which is obviously a brand that I created in conjunction with a factory to make circuit protection. Okay, that's distributed by a company called the Premspec Group in the UK. They're not the same thing. Okay, Verso is a brand of product, not a company. Okay, so if you are going to go searching on Companies House, etc., fact check. But the company I work for is a company called the Premspec Group. And I've worked there. It was originally called the Premspec Electrical Products, and I've worked there for 11 years.
Right.
I started it basically 11 years ago from a laptop in Starbucks with someone else's money.
Okay.
So that person owned the company. I became managing director of that company in 2016, and there were promises made at that time and everything else to give me something to aim for. Should we put it that way? I don't want to get into too much detail of it.
You're building a brand and you got to have something in return.
No, I'm building a company. Okay, so that's it. So I'm building this company from nothing into a company of something. Okay, I spent 11 years doing that. Yeah. Along that journey, in my own, for myself and everything, I create a brand, and I build and design a level of product for the factory with that brand to launch that brand. Now, I then, on behalf of Premspec, pitch to the factory that Premspec are the best vehicle to distribute that product in the UK.
Okay.
Because again, I'm under a promise of an MBO, so I'm aiming to build Premspec as the biggest company possible so it can afford a management buyout. As time progresses and other things happen during that time period, mainly the company gets pulled into a legal situation because of decisions made by the ownership.
Not yourself?
No, definitely not myself, or anyone that works there. And I won't mention that company or anything else because it's not, I've got too much respect for them, to be truthfully honest. That situation is still ongoing, and based on conversations had and everything else, I couldn't stay there, and I had to make a decision for. Oh mate, it's getting me now. I had to make a decision for my family and myself. I'm 36 years old. Okay, and I got a really young family. I got 3 kids, and I just couldn't. Knowing that these promises were written in invisible ink, knowing the situation and what it is and what it could be, it was one of those where I've got to get out before it creates me a problem. Because as a director with a company, it was me that was getting the flack for it.
Right. Even though you hadn't essentially done anything wrong.
Well, did I not do anything wrong? I did, because I was naive. Like, I may as well bear it bones here. I was naive because I didn't know what extent my responsibility went to as a director, especially when you don't own a company. Okay, when you didn't own shares in the company, like at the time. So
you've put your trust
100%
in someone else.
100%, and trusting them to do the right thing by me. And when that doesn't materialize, and then that, that starts getting worse over 3 or 4 years, and then you realize, and then you find out that promise that you've been working for, 70, 80-hour weeks of sacrifices you made, that your family made. Now, I've talked about them all the time, about the travel away and everything else. I basically missed the first year of my son's life because I worked my freaking arse off. And then all of a sudden you find it's just built on nothing. And it's just like, and then something else come down the pipeline, and it was about 2 weeks before, and I was like, that's enough.
The final straw, like.
Yeah. So on the 22nd of February, I went up, met with the owner, and I just said, look, I'm done. Left everything as, absolutely fine. There's a team in place there. They're more than capable. I've been training for 11 years. I better be. Do you know what I mean? Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is I don't work there anymore.
My next question, probably what most people are thinking, is what happens with Verso? Something you've been pushing, essentially, and building yourself. What happens to that now? How does that work?
Well, I mean, whilst I'd love to tell you that the product is the factories. Okay, I didn't pay for any of that. That's owned by the factory. It's patented. Okay, yes, did I design it? Yes, but I didn't like. That's where
wasn't your money.
No, and that's where the trade-off is, right? So it's my trademark and brand and their investment on product, and together you launch a product. Okay,
Right, okay.
So that's what we did. What they want to do now will be up to a conversation that they need to have with Premspec. Now, at some point, I'll need to be involved in that conversation because it's my trademark. But you know, at this moment in time, I, as far as I know, it's business as usual. So for those of you out there, and this is the next bit I want to get onto, because I think this is the bit that why everyone's got the question. Depending on who you listen to, depends on the reason why I left. That's the reason I left. So for those of you who thought I was terminally ill, thank you for your concerns. To my knowledge, I'm absolutely fine. That scared the shit out of me when I heard that. Someone, no, I did not get sacked. That was another one. No, there was no quality issues with the product, and you know exactly who you are, spreading around up in the northwest that there's a quality issue with our product and the company couldn't afford a recall, and that's why it's going bust or some other nonsense. To those social media personalities, again, I was going to mention you by name because it ticked me off that much, but I'm not going to bother, that have a huge following, right? And you don't fact check anything before you put people's livelihoods at risk or people's work that they've worked their entire careers for at risk. Okay? Like, please use that more responsibly. Because what you also didn't appreciate is that because I have left, obviously there are people that...
I think what you're saying is the knock-on effect that someone has
huge.
said that has caused
massive
back, behind closed doors issues.
And not to literally keep talking about him, Dave Savery put up a video, okay, which apparently was the root of all evil according to this other social media personality, and that's where he got his information from. Okay, now Dave, I watched that video because you sent me the link. I watched that video, and all Dave said was he put up my LinkedIn post that I had left the company, which is true.
Yeah, he said nothing.
Nothing about anything else. He said, because SBS had gone bust, and I really feel for all the guys there. And all he said was, uncertain times, we'll see what happens, which is fair. But that was it. So for everyone else, just wind it in. It's hard enough as it is at the minute, right? All I've done is quit my job. And I'm pretty sure at some point, everyone watching this has quit a job or left a job for a different job. Okay? And that's all that's happened. I am not currently re-employed, although I am working quite closely with the guys here at 360, which I'm very grateful for, which is paying my mortgage. And, and I'm doing this. And I want to launch Talk Up as more than just a podcast. I want to drive it into more of a production company. And the Verso videos that I was doing, the educational stuff, I want to drive a little bit more of that. And again, working alongside these guys here, I'm looking to try and put some sort of events together and things like that. So that at the moment is my initial, that's what I'm doing.
So for like people like myself and people who fit Verso boards, do you still recommend us to fit them essentially?
There's not a better tested device on the market still. There isn't. There's not another brand that I'm aware of that goes to the level of testing that a factory does on that product. Okay, so if you can still access Verso product, of course I suggest you fit it. I don't want to see my best part of my career's worth of work go down a pan.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And Paul and the guys at the factory are incredible. And when at the point where I left, there was so much other product like 3-phase and other things in the pipeline that they were developing for that Verso product. And I really hope to see it all on the market as soon as I can. I really do. But again, I'm not part of that conversation. It's not, and I don't want to be at this moment in time. Once I've stepped away from this whole situation, it's taken me quite a few weeks just to get my head right. When you completely become, again, I was 25 when I started at Premspec, and it was such a huge part of who I am, my identity, how I identified as myself. It fudged my head up massively leaving.
Well, a lot of people think of Verso, they think of you as well.
Yeah,
Mr. Verso.
Yeah, which I appreciate, and I really do. But I hope that the impact of what I did with Verso wasn't just the product. It was because I absolutely love this. I love this industry. I love circuit protection. Hopefully one day, when I'm ready and in the right space, I'll end up back somewhere doing. That's why I want to keep doing the videos and stay involved and stay on the pulse and stuff. Hager, if you need some PR help, give me a shout. But like, and I do, and I'm super passionate about it. I really am, and I hope I get back into it at some point. But at this moment in time, with all this stuff going on as it is, I just need a minute.
Makes sense.
And that's the truth. That's what's happened. So yeah, and I have been built. For those of you listening, I've been more nervous about doing this podcast to address this than anything I can think of in a long, long time. Because just talking about it breaks me.
Yeah, I can imagine something. Even like I've left a job before. I was only there a couple of years or whatever. And it's just like it is a big change in your life, and for something that you put so much work into, to kind of almost just go.
Well, don't forget, like I was working towards buying that company back.
That's what you had in your head.
That's what the MBO was for, right? Is that an MBO stands for management buyout, and that's what I was promised. And that's the only reason after this whole thing come down, this legal thing come down, I even stayed. Because I was told I can't afford to deal with this unless I stayed. The whole thing was, it just eat me, it broke me, and you keep going back to the well almost. It's like bloody an abusive relationship, really, to be honest with you. And all for the promise of, do you know what? I will. It'll be worth it in the end. 100%. Like, I'll get this, and I can put stuff right. I can do things the right way. I can look after the people that have supported me, from customers to staff to family to everything. And then when I realised that was ripped away, and that was all built on a lie, I felt naive. I felt stupid. I felt used. It did it. It broke me. Absolutely broke me. So yeah, talking about it's actually quite difficult. Although.
Well, I think the main bit's done now. So
yeah. So guys, that's the gossip. Yeah.
So to put it in aspect, you don't work there anymore.
No.
You created Verso. You still stand by Verso at the moment.
Yeah.
Or what it is.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't know what could change now. So stuff could change. That's not.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be very hard for the product to change because the factory own the distribution rights of it.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure how that would. I don't think Verso product can become something else, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Verso product will be Verso product. It's not like Premspec could go to a different factory and make that product. It just wouldn't happen. So the quality standards and all that sort of stuff are exactly the same. Okay. So for everyone worried about that, you don't have to be. Like I say, Premspec's still trading. Everything's still fine. All that happened is I quit. That's literally all
the
that
face
happened.
of it's gone.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I'm sure there'll be someone there ready to step into my shoes, or there'll be other people that want that job, and good luck to them. And I really do. No, I do. I mean it, because if someone goes in there with the right mindset of this is a job, and I want to do this job well, they'll do a fantastic job there. I was there with a different mindset, under different pressures. I was a director. I was the only director, and I was building something for me and my family for the future. If it was just a job, trust me, mate, I'd have left 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
I would have never put Verso through it. I wouldn't have done. I'd have put that through someone else. Maybe approached, another importer like, I don't know, Super Rod or, Skolmore or anyone else. Say, look, I've got this product. I developed this, that, and the other. What do you think? And and I would have done. But I was built in my head. I was like, look, I've invested everything I am into this, and this is what I'm building for. This is what I promised my family. This is what I promised my friend. Everyone that worked for me was on a promise. And it got to the point, and that was the other thing. I felt so guilty and so naive and stupid that they almost stopped me from leaving for so long.
You didn't want it to be true.
No, I didn't. I really didn't. And it was people close to me in the end that just went, mate.
So that's a similar thing. Like, I put a lot of trust in a lot of people. It's like you say, I don't always put stuff in writing. I don't always do that. And that was my biggest mistake. And it makes you think sometimes. You just never know, do you? You just, I know one of my mates is, no matter what we do, we do the newsletter together, he gets everything written up. Yeah. Anything we do is written up. I'm like, Job, we don't need to do that. He's like, no, we do that. You just never know. But which is a good way to be, and it's the way everyone should be. And it should be. And do you know what? It's funny when I speak to people who are more experienced in this, or been through something like this similar, or just a little bit more, I don't want to say less trusting, but practical about things. So you can never
circumstances change, people change, time changes everything. If you write it down, you get it written up, everyone knows what they're working to. It removes any distrust or any fear or anything. You can actually do better and do more. And I tried a little bit when I was there, and it was just never his way.
I think it's a thing for some people as well. You don't want to come across disrespectful.
Yeah,
because it's almost, it can be seen as a sign of disrespect, like, what, you don't trust me?
Yeah, of course. But that's a generational thing, and that was the situation I was up against. Like, this guy is a lot older than me, older than me, right? Yeah. And there's a way of doing things in their generation, and that's how he operates. So you push back against that, and it's not met with a smile and a hug. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it is. And like I said, I don't wish him any ill. I don't wish them any ill. I wish them all the best. It's just that situation for me personally became so toxic that it was making me ill, which was having an impact on my family. And at that point, if it's my family or the company, it's got to be my family.
Yeah.
And
obviously,
if my egg goes pop and I go pop, then they're the one that suffers.
Yeah.
So that's that. So with that. Any questions?
We still got to do a question for
we do have to do a question for the WeHa giveaway. Have you thought of one yet?
No.
You thought of one yet? Okay. Right. Seeing as we can't think of a decent question, although it's been a bit of a not really even a question type of podcast.
It's been very drama.
Yeah, I'm actually knackered. What we'll do is you have to like and subscribe to the channel. So like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. At the time of recording this, we've still only got 86 subscribers. The views are great and things are going really well on the shorts and stuff. But subscribe to the channel, it really would help. And go over to the WeHa, the WeHa Instagram and tag Talk Up in the comments of a picture that they will post, because I'll send it to them before this podcast goes live. Okay, so we got to go. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. It'll be easy to see if you subscribed or not, because like I say, we've only got 86 subscribers at this moment in time. And I'll and then fly over to Instagram. I'll put their link to their handle in the description, in the show notes. Fly over there, tag Talk Up, which is on Instagram, which is Talk Up Pod, I think is our handle on there. Tag us in there on the post that I'll send them, and be in a chance to win it. So there we go. We were going to do a Q&A, but I think we've already gone over our allotted time where people are bored of listening to us.
Yeah.
So we'll have to add those questions, and a lot of them were about the Hager video, to be fair, and what I just mentioned. I think hopefully I've covered most of those questions, even if I didn't get the chance to message you guys. But guys, also, I will shout you guys out. Everyone on Instagram who did take the time to message me to make sure I was okay, that I heard that I'd left and this, that and the other, and just asking after me and my family. Again, I really, really do appreciate it. No, it's not been easy. But no, I'm not going anywhere. We're still doing a podcast. Like I say, I'm still working with these guys here at 360. And I'm sure I'll be back at some point in an electrical environment. I might be on site with James. Yeah, who knows?
In the attic.
That's it. Being his apprentice. All right, guys. Thank you very much. And until next time.
Thank you.
Cheers.